What's up, agents, and welcome back to another Division video. And shock, this one is going to be about the PTS. Now, I know the PTS has closed, but so much went on. I made so much content. I thought it would be really good to make kind of a roundup video of my likes, my dislikes, my unsures, and maybe a bit of a wish list for another phase, or a wish list that I kind of hope they would change for when the patch actually goes live. And I also thought it would be a great idea as well that the patch was so big, the PTS patch was huge this time around. It was pretty much impossible for anyone to test absolutely everything. There will be things that I've missed, and I haven't spent too much time looking at other people's opinions for it either, so I thought this would kind of be a good forum for you guys to vent a little bit down below in the comments, because I have seen quite a lot of venting on some of my other comments about people, you know, things that people didn't like. And I thought it'd be really good if I could get all that together. If there is another phase, and obviously it's something that I think is, you know, I can put across, I could put it into my feedback as well. So don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for all the support on the Division videos over this last week. You guys have been absolutely amazing. And let's get straight into it. Right, I'm going to start off with the sections that I didn't like, and then I'll go into unsure, then I'm going to go into likes, and then into the wish list, because I think it might start off, you know, we'll start off what might seem a bit sad and, you know, not quite where we want it to be, and then we'll finish on a high. And what I am going to say is, though, if you've been around my channel a while, you'll know that I'll always be constructive, right? I'm not going to go F this, F that, and, you know, and things like that. I'll always try and look at it from, you know, from both angles. And if I can't see an angle on why something has been done, kind of question that, right? I think that's probably the best way of going about it. So, first of all, we'll start with the new gear set. So what I'll do is I'll very quickly, I can pull them up here. We'll just be in this top one in this top sheet. That's the weapon changes and mods. Talents. Is gear in this one? Maybe gear's not in this one. And then what we can do is, so that's all good. I'm not going to go through this for everything, but I think it's just important if we look at the gear for this one. I think it's important. Yeah, there we go. So the new Legatus brand set and the new Virtuoso. For me right now, these just didn't really, I feel like they're added to the game for no real use. I feel like other stuff we've got in the game will kind of work better. I'm not sure what the emphasis on the optimal range is with the new brand set. I wasn't so keen on the Virtuoso with the ranged in and out. I feel like we can get much more constant damage from sets we've had since the game launched. It just doesn't, it seemed to work okay with the Pestilence. I did a video on that. You can by all means go and check that out. But again, it just didn't seem to work. It didn't feel comfortable to use. It didn't feel fun. And I get, you know, these kind of things have got to feel fun. If anyone, you know, you remember when you put strikers on, you know, any of the sets that Division 1 did very, very well. You put them on, they felt fun to play. They felt powerful. And this gear set and this brand set, for me, they just missed the mark, right? The idea is great, the versatile idea and the swapping weapons, and even the range idea feels kind of great for the season and stuff and things like that. But using the gear set just falls off. Having to not just run in and want to play the game how you want, having to think, oh, I've got to shoot from 30 meters, and oh, I've got to shoot from 30 meters again, and then I can go into range and I can get all this amp damage, but it's only going to last for 10 seconds, so then I've got to come back out of range. No one's going to play the game like that. It's not, it just, for me anyway, and you guys let me know what you think down below in the comments. It's not going to feel fun, and I think that probably needs a hefty change. Sounds harsh, but I think it probably, and I understand that they're trying to do it from the season point of view, the seasonal modifier point of view, but I feel like that set should have built on the seasonal modifier even more to make it more fun and not necessarily, you know, a pain to use. So I think that might fall flat. It doesn't seem, you know, exciting to me. I'm hoping it gets some changes, and if they are going to stick with us having to do the range thing, the damage should last for much longer. you know, having to do it once in one engagement feels fair. In that, you'd have to do it multiple times in one engagement just to get that damage bonus. And yeah, I think they've got to be wary of, you know, that damage bonus and how powerful it could be, perhaps with like, you know, a regulars headhunter build and a sniper build. I get that, but I think in that case, then, you know, they have to alter the damage values. You know, it just seems to fall flat. So that's enough on that one. The next is going to be a new exotic holster, and for me that kind of felt the same. You know, because you've got to swap, it felt absolutely short for me. You know, I don't enjoy using versatile. Perfect versatile feels very similar in the fact that there's no gear set that, you know, that lets you run two different archetype of weapons very well. And I get they might have been trying to do that with this, but you know, you could perhaps run strikers with an assault rifle and an LMG, perhaps, or you know, you could perhaps run strikers with an assault rifle and an SMG, and you could probably get that combination right. But yeah, it just doesn't feel natural to be switching so often. 8 seconds, I think, is not long enough. I feel like it could be more like 15. It could be almost double. And again, it took away the fun. You know, these things are meant to be fun. It felt like it took that fun away. So that didn't work for me either. There was the new named talent, the Precision Strike. Again, it suffers from the same things we've talked about already. Having to do things at range, it just didn't feel like it was ever useful, and some of the areas in the game don't even allow for you to have that kind of range. So it's yeah, I'm not feeling some of this range stuff. I feel like they need to dial it in a little bit. I feel like let us do it at much closer quarters, and I get that might affect the seasonal modifiers as well, but yeah, for me it adds an extra level of thought process that takes away from a fun process. So I think that needs to be dialed in if they really want people to use these, you know, on the regular. So that's kind of it for that stuff. We'll talk about the seasonal modifiers now that they just mentioned at the beginning. I did spend a lot of time with this system at the beginning. I unlocked pretty much all of it very quickly. It only took around 12 hours to get to where I got to. And that was all of the active modifiers that we had to unlock via the new system, the priority objectives. I unlocked all of them. And no, it wasn't actually. Sorry, it's the passive modifiers, wasn't it, that we unlocked? So the active modifiers with the 3 at the top, I only unlocked one of them and couldn't really figure out how to activate it. The passive modifiers, I unlocked all of them and played around with them a little bit. There were some pretty powerful combinations, and I kind of feel like a combination will be found, and that will be the one that ends up being used most of the season. It just felt okay. It just felt okay. I feel like it didn't really provide the golden bullet, you know, reanimated fun vibe. They spent a lot of time on that, you know, a couple of patches ago, making global modifiers, the GE's global events feel fun. I feel like this was a step back, and although it's a huge system and there's a lot into it, maybe I missed the purpose. It felt nice. It felt okay. The global modifier suit, you know, definitely took away any feeling of nerfs, and we'll get to them in a little bit, and bumped you back up to probably even more stronger than what we are today in the game. But it just felt okay. And I think the problem with it just feeling okay was I could work through the entire system playing the game on normal. And that then just felt like a bit of a slog. And what, you know, most players, you know, unless you are extremely, what's the word, disciplined, will do things in the quickest way possible. And that's going to put things on the easiest mode possible to get everything unlocked, to get to the end, to get to the most powerful, and, you know, and see what you can do. And the fact I could easily just put it on normal and work through and unlock everything, it just felt like a manhunt that I didn't want to do, but a massive version. You know, I was having to play, you know, and a lot of people complain about this. I see it all the time. People are like, oh, it's a new system on content we've been playing for years. And I get that, right? But I like playing that content, but I don't like playing that content on normal. But when I want to unlock a system as quickly as possible and be efficient as possible, if I can do it on normal, you know, like I said, I think a lot of people will do. And this is where I feel like I might be a little bit controversial with when we looked at the seasonal modifiers. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to pull a video up here just so you can see which part I mean. So it's this menu here, so the journey menu. And you can work through all of this. This is what I've just been talking about on normal. You don't have to do any of it at any particular difficulty. And Daria said that this one's available at level 1, this one's available at level 10, I think it was, and then level 20, and then level 30, and then 5, 6, and 7 are all level 40. And I feel like this needs some difficulty adding to it. See, it's obviously from the original system that was planned. So the seasonal character would make perfect sense here. You would start a seasonal character with absolutely nothing, and you could start working your way through these. And I feel like that content would last a long, you know, a significant amount of time, you know, to work from level 1 to 40, even, you know, depending on what kind of progression other, you know, the XP system is like. You know, you might get 15 levels boost at the beginning of the season like we always do, and you might progress a little bit quicker at the beginning. But to have to work through this with a brand new seasonal character, have to gear up, have to do the challenges, feels like it's much more fleshed out. And now the fact that as a community, you know, it was 99.9% of everybody in the community was like, no, I don't like that system, I don't want it in, even though they'd not seen this at the time. So that's all been stripped out, but we're still left with what that system was originally, which is clearly this. You know, that's why there's the level requirement on these tiers. But now the fact we can work all the way through it with our level 40 character, we're geared to the teeth, and, you know, running capital building for the 500th time doesn't necessarily sound, you know, inviting. Tidal Basin doesn't sound inviting because they're not missions that you probably generally run every day, and there's some much easier stuff to do here. But, you know, it's like do events here, do events there, and it's not particularly as appealing as I think it would have been with a seasonal character. And that's not me saying that I think they should revert the change and expecting, you know, all you lot listening to me now going, no, we don't want seasonal characters. I get that. I think something else needs to be added to this now to put some difficulty in it, to stop it being run all the way through on normal, that because we can run it with maxed out characters, the whole system is still missing something. Like it's not long enough. Like I said, I got to this tier here and I got much further on. This is when I made the video, only a few hours into it being released. After 12 hours, I'd unlocked this reversal one and then gone into the priority objectives and unlocked all the, you know, all the modifiers. So the system in itself now, for what is meant to be seasonal content, isn't very long. I think even a casual would have it done in a week if you played every day for a couple of hours. So anyone that grinds hardcore will have this system grinded out in the first couple of days. Like, you know, and this is meant to be extended season 2.0, you know, longer content, not just a season track like we get now that could be done in a few hours. This is meant to be big juice, and it feels like it would have been big juice with a seasonal character, but then off the back of us getting our main characters in it now, it feels like there is a lot of hours of content being stripped away seasonally. And I say content, you understand what I'm saying, that not new content, but, you know, progression style content for the season. And that might not affect some people. They might want to jump on for a few hours, you know, a couple of days when the season starts, get it done, and then go to other games. That's another point of view for this whatsoever as well. But I think the system needs difficulty adding to it to flesh it out a little bit. Being able to run through it all on normal is not a win for me. And it kind of tips me to the opinion that I feel like the middle ground could have been met here, and I don't know how possible this would have been. I don't know if the systems would have allowed for it, but I kind of feel like we should be having a seasonal character. But once we finish this system, so say once you get all the way to the end of the system, so say, you know, 5, 6, 7, and you finish tier 7, you're not then forced to play on your seasonal character. You could play on your level 40 character. So rather than do it how they were planning, that it was a timed based and you can only play on, you can only do the seasonal content for the last 2 weeks on your main character, and you was kind of time gated in with the seasonal character for most of the season. I feel like they could have done a middle ground here where we could have worked through this system with a seasonal character, and then once you hit the top tier, your reward was not only have you finished the seasonal system, you could then use your main character in all the seasonal content, use all the seasonal gear. And I also feel like then we wouldn't have lost leagues, because we've also lost leagues now from our seasonal content. Yes, they did say it was going to be replaced with something else in the future, but leagues don't work with this new system that you can work through in a couple of days if you grind it really hard. So I feel like, I'm not saying that is the way to do it. I'm not saying that they should do it like that. I'm not saying they should bring seasonal characters back. I get the backlash I could get for saying things like that, but I feel like the system we've got now has a problem that it's too short and noticeably too easy, because we can do it all on normal. We can do unlock all the priority objectives on normal. We can do the journey all on normal. And, you know, unless you've got that really, really good willpower, most people will probably do it on normal and be bored of it, you know, and the same issues that the current season has now will noticeably appear here. And if them global modifiers are not interesting to keep people playing, the same thing's going to happen. I feel like the same thing will happen that happens now. People will log in, they'll play a few days, and then they'll disappear, come back for the story. Yeah, all right, the story's every week now, but again, I looked at that. It's very similar to, even though it's a UI redesign, very similar to what we do now. We're going to do something that, you know, in an area, it's just unguided. So for me, the journey system has problems because it is definitely meant for a seasonal character, and we don't have that anymore. So I feel like a better middle ground needs to be found, and one that will take us noticeably longer to complete, because, you know, you don't want a new seasonal content over within a day or two. So let me know what you think about that down below. I know that might be controversial, but I've ranted about it enough. But let's move on to the last couple of things that I didn't necessarily like. I think the Oreo, the Strikers, the Obliterate, the Scorpio, and the St. Elmo buff. In fact, let's not include the St. Elmo with this, not buff, nerf. So the Oreo, the Strikers, Obliterate, and Scorpio. I think the nerfs for them were a little bit harsh. I understand the need to bring outliers into line, and I kind of don't mind that being done. But I feel like they were a little bit too harsh. We didn't test Strikers properly because the backpack change wasn't actually in the game, but we did stat it out in our previous videos, and it is a little bit harsh. People, I understand the fact that people, including myself, have put a lot of investment with expertise. It takes a long time, and then they've upgraded these things with expertise as well. And although it being a live service game, you can't expect the meta to stay the same all of the time. I feel like these changes were a little bit harsh, and they didn't just take them from being outliers. In some cases, or in almost all the cases, they brought them well under. And I'm looking at you, Ouroboros, like that change was super, super harsh. Yeah, all right, bring the RPM down, leave the mag size alone, find a nice middle ground. And I'm kind of hoping that we do get another phase of the PTS. And I think, you know, the feedback was very shouty about that might hopefully change. And they might find a better middle ground, so that for the people that have invested in all that gear, it's still top tier, but then we have the other options of using the other gear that they brought up as well, making it feel, you know, not as harsh. I talked about the global modifiers. We already end up straight onto that. And then the brand set changes. I'm going to I'll fly over the brand set changes. So I'm talking about, you know, Seska, Grupo, and, you know, all them kind of things getting them changes. I don't see the point in what happened there. There must be some over guiding point, you know, that obviously they're giving us buffs in other places, but the fact that, you know, you're taking 2% crit chance, 2% crit damage off me, did that really make that much of a difference? Would it not have just been better to leave them sets alone and not bring in as powerful a buffs in the other places if that was the case? So yeah, I mean, them changes just felt really weird to me. If you're not changing, you know, the actual modifier itself, so if you're not changing one from crit chance to crit damage, or from Hasbro to skill damage, or whatever, modifying them just felt a little bit like, yeah, all right. Doesn't, the mod changes were welcome, but yeah, the gear set change, they just didn't. Sorry, the brand set changes just didn't feel. I don't know. I didn't get it. And they didn't seem to make that much of a difference either way. Anyway, so yeah, that's a bit of a mystery for me. That was, yeah, in fact, the brand set changes, that was my unsure section. I've just seen it highlighted in front of me, so I was unsure about that. I'm still unsure about the global modifiers and the, you know, and the new seasonal modifier system. I don't know, it felt okay. It felt like it was missing the excitement, like we said. And the brand set changes, yeah, I didn't get that. I felt unsure about that as well. So let's move on to things that I liked, because there was some good things that I liked. The Strager, the new exotic fowl, felt really nice. And that's why I wanted to put off the chatterbox from, not the chatterbox, sorry, the St. Elmo from my previous statement about things that I didn't like. Now, the St. Elmo was a season track gun, and I kind of get it if they're going to want something to have its, you know, time in the light, you know, so like, all right, this is the season track gun. Everybody can earn this really easily. You've just got to, you know, progress to like level 92 or something on the season track. Everyone will get it. Everyone can have a lot of fun with it and enjoy it for a season. It's the most powerful weapon in the game, or one of the most powerful weapons in the game. Enjoy it. And then the next season, it's like, all right, that's at its time now. You strip it back. It's easy to get, but there's this new shiny gun on the season track, you know, get that now and go and have fun with that one instead. I get it if that's the plan, right? That's absolutely fine, and that's the plan. If that's not the plan, the Elmo nerf feels harsh. But if that is the plan, I think I'm kind of okay with that, because then as well, we know that, so people can then choose if they really do want to put the investment into leveling that gun up to 27 expertise or not, because they know really it's only going to be, you know, shiny for that entire season, and then next season they're like, actually I might not use this one as much. So, you know, they can then choose if that's, you know, going to be the way forward or not. So the Strager though, very, very good, very impressed with it. The chatterbox changes, loved it. Pestilence changes, loved it. Bullet King changes, loved it. M1A and the 1886 and the other rifle changes, but some of them becoming auto, I loved all that as well. You know, gun wise, I had a lot of fun with all them, and it did make it so that I used some guns that I didn't normally want to use. So yeah, that was kind of good. Some of the other guns, I didn't mention them in my didn't likes, but if I was going to go through other guns that have been pooed on, for instance, you know, the MP7 would be here all night. So these are just my, you know, my mains, you know, my main standouts. I loved the hardwired change. That was really nice. That was really, really good. I thoroughly enjoyed that. And then I enjoyed the changes to ongoing directive were standout. I loved that. I can't wait and hope that goes into the live game. Negotiator's Dilemma, I thought the Heartbreaker change was welcome. That was nice. And the Umbra change as well, that was nice. I will note on the Heartbreaker change though, it's still difficult to keep the stacks up. And I kind of think rather than increasing the modifier from 1 to 1.3, it would have been better for them to leave that modifier alone and change the depreciating stacks from 2 seconds to 1. And I feel like that would have been a better way of buffing that set. I feel like us keeping stacks up for longer gives us that boost in damage for longer. You know, I would rather have my damage for longer than the kind of spiky damage that Heartbreaker provides. So that would be the only thing I would change. I'm happy with a damage boost. I'll take it from 1 to 1.3. But I think it would become, this is what we talked about a lot at the beginning of the video, ease of play, fun to play. I think Heartbreaker would be much more fun to play if the stacks didn't depreciate so quickly. Strikers had that problem in the beginning in this game, if you remember, when it was in the PTS before we had, it came into the real game, and they made a good change to that. I feel like Heartbreaker could just have that, the damage left the same, and have that change made to it. Maybe even, you know, this, just like some of the other sets in the game, that the stacks don't depreciate as quick if you're running or something, you know what I mean? Like the game has options that it could use. I think I would do it that way around to give Heartbreaker a buff, but I put that in, you know, all these things I put in my feedback, you know, so I guess we'll see if they take note of any of it. And then my wish list was two things really. Spotter. He didn't get touched with Project Resolve. It didn't get touched this time. I feel like a little bit of a boost for Spotter. Show Spotter a little bit of love. That could have had a couple of % added to it. I feel like that would have been some nice value, especially with like Obliterate getting smacked and, you know, and stuff and things like that. We're getting less and less kind of viable options for high ends. So I feel like Spotter would have been nice to be touched, you know, giving it a bit of extra damage bonus, maybe 2 to 5 extra damage. That would have been nice. And my main wish list, and it's a set that's never been touched, and I don't understand why, and it could get such a nice rework. It's True Patriot. It's been in the game forever, and it never gets touched. It still stands by itself, but it really needs some changes because of how quickly we can kill things now. I really wish they would give it some love. It's such a nice set, and it's not had any love ever, and that's definitely on my wish list, that they would show that a little bit of love, maybe change how it works a tiny bit, because, you know, they're getting, especially the bit where you get armor from shooting the enemies with one of the buffs. You kill things so quick, it doesn't ever really give you anything. So I feel like it could just do with a little bit of love, you know, give it a little bit of extra damage, give it a little bit of more survivability, and, you know, and yeah, let us use that as well. Especially with the changes to OD, Negotiators, and Heartbreaker and Umbra, I really feel like they could have brought that into the mix as well. And, you know, and if they're trying to bring strikers down a little bit and push everything else up, why is True Patriot being left behind? It's such a cool set. So it feels sad that a set that is fun to play, and I feel like a lot of people would run it. You know, Aces still feels like it falls short a little bit, but it is kind of nice that we can use it with rifles. I feel like Aces could have done with a 2-set bonus giving rifle damage to make that just a little bit nicer. Again, that's on the wish list, I guess, now we've talked about it. But yeah, that's how I'm going to finish the video. I've waffled on for nearly 30 minutes. I really didn't think this video would be this long. But if you're still here and you've listened to it, I know I might have some unpopular opinions there with the new seasonal system, but it's too short. It's far too short now, and you can see it was built for a seasonal character. But let me know what you think down below in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And hopefully I'll see you this weekend for a load more videos for a Phase 2 PTS. Thanks for watching, agents. Goodbye.